He kōna ipurangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
It's cheaper.
Yeah, we've given it a go recently just with the money savings.
I always do it.
When you do that, it ties back into saving money.
But it's not just about the money.
Time saving.
Yes, and just busy lifestyle. That also helps that.
So you're wondering what we're talking about here? Just a little spot of batch cooking. Let's find out how it's done. Kia ora, I'm Katy Gosset and welcome to Thrift. For our saying in this episode, we're going for a song lyric. Time, time, time. See what's become of me, while I looked around for my possibilities. The song is Hazy Shade of Winter, recorded by Simon and Garfunkel back in 1966, and while I wasn't around then, I do remember the Bangles doing a great cover of it in 1987. It kind of fits at the moment. We're in the midst of winter, we're looking around for money-saving possibilities, and one thrifty option that might also buy us some time is batch cooking.
This is a meal that I've prepped, ready for Thursday night.
And here's a woman who knows all about it.
I'm Natalie, Wiki, and I work for SuperGrans Super Skills Otautahi.
SuperGrans is a community network with 13 member agencies across the country. The Christchurch branch fell away after the earthquakes, but Natalie is gradually getting it going again, setting up sewing and cooking workshops and community groups.
To close that intergenerational gap.
And give people new skills.
To be able to organise their time management, organise their kids well, cook to a budget.
In other words,
it's great to be back.
And part of the cooking on a budget is batch cooking. Some people are already doing it on a large scale.
I guess maybe we'd do batches of 10 to 20 meals.
And Natalie says that takes organisation.
Big batch cooking means that you've got to have basically all your staples already. And that would be like once a month shop.
But the rest of us might like to begin with something more modest.
If we're stuck on a budget, we want to know how we can spread that meal. So we want to cook once, then we want to eat 3 times.
Natalie wants to help young mums, but even with older children herself now, she's still practicing what she preaches.
This is my meatballs. So this is kind of a standard in our household if I want to do bulk cooking.
We'll come back to Natalie's own setup, but if you're keen to try batch cooking, tip 1 is the what. What do you need to make it work?
Having the right tools and resources, equipment to be able to make big meals that are going to spread.
And that's not the same for everyone.
We've got like a big pot, it's quite big, 20 litres, and just the stewed curry type meals.
But Natalie says not everyone cooks in the same way.
So we need to know what they're comfortable with using in their own kitchen.
Now, if you can afford some bits of kit,
I would be suggesting a rice cooker to save time, an air fryer to save power and time.
Upgrading appliances can actually pay off in the long run. But for the moment, if there's just one piece of kit that you can afford...
Busy households need a crock pot, absolutely. Chuck everything in, all your ingredients in the morning.
And when you get home after work...
You've got a beautiful, healthy, nutritious, hot meal.
Speaking of ingredients, Natalie does recommend meal planning and organising what you're going to eat 3 days ahead. And some things are just better suited to batch cooking than others. Soups, stews, stocks, as we just heard, crock pot meals.
I'm planning on just getting up a big batch of protein or something and then just cooking again every few days.
To save money, I've made like batch rice or couscous and then I'll like freeze it.
Anything that freezes well and reheats easily.
And speaking of that,
I think potatoes are my least thing to freeze.
There was that time she tried to reheat frozen spuds for a roast veggie salad.
And the potatoes just don't taste any good.
She's also not a great fan of freezing rice, although she reckons it still gets eaten. Other wintry vegetables like pumpkin and carrots do pretty well in the freezer. And Natalie's had good success with freezing dairy products.
I freeze my butter when it's on special. I've frozen milk and I've frozen cream.
Liquids can expand when they're frozen though, so do leave a bit of extra space in your bottle or container. And another thing with batch meals, think laterally about how you can stretch food. If you buy something, you don't have to eat it the way it was intended.
I found $8 pack of rissoles, and rissoles are actually quite large.
Which means that Natalie's cut each of them into 4, re-rolled and kind of repurposed them.
So 8 rissoles is now turned into 24 little meatballs.
Natalie's paired that with a jar of pasta sauce, which has also been stretched a bit further with a tin of tomatoes, and she's got an easy few meals for later on.
Hubby's been in the garden, he's going to pull something out of the freezer. So that's great. Love that one.
Knowing you've got a meal up your sleeve also helps ward off temptation.
Right now it's so easy to just finish work and spend $50 on takeout.
But
When you batch cook, it can definitely help save you money long term.
on to tip 2, which is the how. We talked about starting small, but if you have the opportunity and the money to find a good bulk deal,
I'm all about buying in bulk and being able to separate what I've got at the end once I've cooked it all.
but you'll also bulk buy vegetables like carrots and potatoes and do a partial prep for easy cooking later on.
Instead of leaving your carrots to go soggy in the bottom of your fridge, pre-chop them, put them in a container.
The same with random one-off purchases that aren't part of your regular diet.
Aubergine were cheap, but I'm not going to make an aubergine meal every night, so I've just chopped it up and put it in a bag.
Then there's the kind of produce you often get given.
The neighbour's got apples, I will batch cook that, chuck them in the freezer for later.
So even partial batch preparation can be quite valuable.
There are some things that are really time saving if you use your freezer well.
And speaking of your freezer, you're going to need a bit of space in there.
Luckily we do have a big chest freezer.
I get sick of food fairly easily, so I have to make sure I've got enough freezer space.
But hang on, I hear you say, hang on, what if you, like me and plenty of other people, don't have a chest freezer? Well, this is what Natalie means by using your freezer well.
Having your freezer rotating with food all the time.
The FIFO system, first in, first out, is a good way to go. And of course, you need to know how old things are.
Date what you can.
And if your freezer space is at a premium, then think about putting food in plastic bags that you can stack or containers.
Well, I'm all about recycling, so my freezer is full of ice cream containers
So is mine. But in my case, they still actually have ice cream in them.
and takeaway containers, which are great.
Just make sure the containers and the bags can be properly sealed.
You can get freezer burn, you can get food contaminations, so try to avoid that.
Well-sealed containers also mean that the strong odour of one food won't taint a different meal. And another important point,
Eat once, don't refreeze anything that you've already frozen.
so to avoid wasting defrosted food, only freeze it in the portion sizes you know you'll eat.
And so our portions are 2 chicken drums. These ones are going to be frozen as well.
Incidentally, when you're foraging in a freezer, it helps if you know your way around.
Having drawers that pull out to you as well, so you can actually get to the back of the freezer, you can see what's going on. And this is an upright freezer.
And Natalie has it very well organised. But, sometimes a large freezer can feel like a place where our food simply goes to die. So make sure you know where everything is so that valuable food you've paid for doesn't get wasted. The other option is to leave it in the fridge and eat it over a series of days with a few variations to keep things interesting.
Defrosting a whole chicken, then the next day you've got some chicken left over, make a stir fry with the frozen veg. The third night, keep the bones and you can make a soup with that.
But if the leftovers are staying in the fridge, it's important to have a plan of what you're eating in what order.
Organisation, it's knowing what your next meal is going to be.
And of course, families are busy. Not everyone eats at the same time.
For my hubby, it's good to have something prepared sitting in the fridge.
And ideally somewhere prominent.
It's got to be at eye height level. If you can't see it, it's not there.
Moving on to tip 3 now, it's all about the time factor, which, as we've learnt, is important to many of us.
I don't have time to cook. It's so much more cost effective as well.
I'll cook enough for 3 days, so I know I can finish work and not have to cook.
But in order to gain that time, first you've got to find time to do the cooking. A lot of batch cooks work with 10-minute chunks of time. So you might use that to plan your meals during your lunch break. And then fit small bits of food prep into your day.
Get home, see if you've got enough time that you can chop up your veg.
Or into the night.
This is my lasagna. I made that last night, ready to cook for this morning.
You've also got to get yourself in the mood. You know, that veggie prepping mood.
Wow, I think you need to be in a really good headspace. You need to know that the kids are all under control and that you've got a couple of hours to yourself to be able to do this.
When her children were young, Natalie had a routine.
My kids were off to kohanga, I'd come home, I'd do it usually on a Monday. For some people, it's whenever you get paid, but living week to week was about just time management.
For young families, online shopping is a good way to go because sometimes just fitting in a supermarket trip is a struggle.
Because you've got 3 kids in town and they might not be happy, and then that makes you anxious.
These days, Natalie has batch cooking down to an art. And the proof is, well, not in the pudding in this case, but in her lasagna.
That's a kg of mince plus your cheese and stuff like that. But that's going to make 8 meals.
But all up, you really are cooking just like once a week, really, aren't you?
Once a week, absolutely. Love it. What's not to love?
Because now you've got to the fun bit. You've actually saved some time.
Oh, it's a big win, yeah.
Especially for young families.
If they can get that couple of hours to prep meals like this, then they've got plenty of time to think about dealing with the kids and the homework and the bathing.
And for everyone else, batch cooking might give you valuable time to work another shift or do whatever you feel like.
Work, study, and just seeing your friends.
It's just good to spend more time with the family instead of having to cook every night.
Just maintaining the mental well-being.
For me, it's time with family and friends. So if we can throw something in the microwave, then we get that time back.
So, time for a recap. Think about the gear you'll need. Some appliances can save on power, and a crock pot is a good option for the kind of meals that suit batch cooking. Stews, soups and curries. Start small, cooking one meal that you can eat 3 times, and work your way up to bigger batches. Prepare fridge and freezer space first. If you're keeping meals in the fridge, plan when they're going to be eaten. And if they're in the freezer, make sure they're in well-sealed and labelled containers or bags, and in the right portion size, so you only defrost what you need. However much you're cooking, you do need to block out some time. The good news is that a bit of organisation now will pay off big time later on and free you up for more work, family time, or whatever you choose. Next time on Thrift, how is the cost of living trickling down to younger family members? We'll get thrifty tips from some intermediate students. Many thanks to my guest in the SEP, Natalie Wiki, manager of SuperGrans Super Skills Otautahi. This podcast is produced and presented by me, Katy Gosset. It's mixed by Chris Wethy, Nate McKinnon makes our social media videos, and Tim Watkin is the executive editor, audio. If you've got a tip to share, please do email me at thrift@rnz.co.nz. Thanks for joining us. Ka kite.